Welcome back, everybody. I am your girl, Susan Gaytan, and this is our 30th episode of Fired Up Podcast. And as you can see, I've got some really fine gentlemen with me today. Mr. Mike Seeley, how you doing? I'm in your state right now.
I know. Welcome to Texas, guys. Is this
We
a
both
permanent move? Come on, it's a permanent move, right? Everybody's coming.
I know everyone else is moving here. Yeah.
And we're all in three very different parts of Texas. I mean, right? Susan, you're in San Antonio, Bernie area. Mike's in Dallas, and I'm down in Corpus Christi right now. So, like,
we got the state covered.
Love this. I love it.
So, Mr. Mike Seeley, Vice President of the Kintz Group. So happy to have you here. We've been working together now for some time, and you bring so much to the table, of course. So we're going to be picking your brain today. But also, I've got my good friend over here, Mr. Michael Renaud, the one and only, from Long Island, New York, our CEO, Mr. Michael Renaud. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I mean, we had a wild thunderstorm here this morning, like the whole hotel shook. It was wild.
Oh.
But I'm great. I'm at Mike Shaw Toyota. They have Toyota Kia stores down here in Corpus Christi area. And it's fun. It's total fun.
Those guys are just getting started with you. So
they're just launching on the program here. Yeah, they're launching in person, having quarterly visits. They know there's a lot of opportunity here, and they want to capitalize on it. So it's great.
Nice,
I love it. You guys.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what those guys do. So we've got a really fun episode for you guys today. We want to focus on today the Legacy Series. So what is the Legacy Series? Well, as you know, we have partnered up with the Tim Kintz Group recently. And the Legacy Series involves a series of trainings, programs, events that we are doing together to ultimately bring you our Management by Fire class, which is going to be taking place July 20th. So mark your calendars for that. Managers, up and coming managers, leadership, sales managers, GSMs, even dealer principals make it into this class. And it's usually a hit. Michael and I are usually doing that class ourselves. But this time we're going to have Mr. Mike Seeley in with us. So you're getting not just me, not just this little redhead over here. You're getting Michael Renaud. You're getting all that New York swag, that intensity. And then you're getting what Mike Seeley is going to bring to the table. And let me just tell you guys this, I have two very different people in front of me right now. Both of them have so much experience and value that they bring to the table. Michael Renaud has his style, but Mike Seeley brings to the table almost this calmness. It's a different type of intensity. It's a calm intensity. It's almost a little scarier. It was a little more intimidating.
Oh, come on, Susan. Don't do that to me.
But I love your wisdom and everything that you've taught us already. So we're going to be talking about Alan Ram and Tim Kintz. Okay. The foundation that these two gentlemen provided us is unlike anything that I have seen in this industry. And you're talking to a gal that's worked on a showroom floor for 21 years. And now with this group here, 31 years in this industry, 30. And I'll tell you that what they created is foundational to the training industry today. Not just in automotive, but training in general. So I want to start out by enlightening our folks at home, kind of giving them a little bit of a raw view into who Tim Kintz really was, who Alan Ram really was. So I'm going to start. I'm just going to get into it if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, let's do it.
I didn't have the pleasure of knowing Tim myself. And, I've looked at so much of his material and gosh, man, he was a busy guy, let me tell you. But and I'm going to direct this to Mike Seeley first, and then I'll ask Michael, when you think about the responsibility that you have, now you're running this organization now. And when you think about what Tim provided you and now having to carry that legacy forward, what is probably the one most important responsibility you feel most strongly right now to carry on, to carry forward?
Wow, that's a good one. Tim always, I think what was great about Tim is he always thought of himself as one of the guys in the dealership. And he would always say, I'll work with anybody where they're at right now, whether it's the new guy, the veteran, but I care way too much about them to not push them harder, to make them change, to get uncomfortable and make the changes they need to make. So he's going to push. He's going to push you to change, and you're going to go along for the ride. So he was there to make sure that you got better, and he was going to push you to be better. So I think for me, it's that responsibility of making these guys continue to push themselves. That's Tim always wanted to push everybody and make sure they got better. And he would give his 100% every day he was in front of somebody to do that. So you may not like him when he's telling you to do it, but by the time you got through, you'd be going, okay, I got it. I got it. So he had his ways, but he wanted to make sure you were good.
Now, I didn't know him personally. I've seen pictures. He seemed like
He's a big man.
Yeah, he looked like a big guy. What was his style like, his personality? Now, I've heard that he was really good at pushing people. Was he more of that calm Michael Seeley, or did he have that Michael Renaud tenacity?
No, he had a tenacity to him for sure. He walked in a room and you knew he was in the room. So he was like 6'3", 6'4", and 230 pounds, and he was in shape, and he was a ex-baseball player in college, and so he used a lot of sports analogies, but he he commanded the room. When you were there, you knew he was up front, and you were in buckle up because you were in for the best time of your life when you're in front of him.
And I hear he did a lot of in-store training.
Yes, we spent most of our time in stores doing in-house private training. And I think Tim definitely took pride in letting people know that he loved being in dealerships because he found out exactly what was going on in the marketplace, what was happening actually right then and there, and seeing the technology that dealerships were using. Tim loved technology, and he loved to be able to use the technology that dealerships were using in the sales process to make it go quicker. So we would always look at the technology, mix it in with the processes to make sure that the customers are getting a good experience and kind of shortening that time period up. So
I love it. I love it. And I can't wait for our Management by Fire class, because what Michael Renaud and I spent a lot of time talking about, as you guys know, is how to drive the traffic into the store, right? How to get the outside in. So I'm going to flip it to Michael now. Alan gave us so much, but I want to know, and I don't know that I've ever asked you this, because there's so much that we've prioritized. Now, you are in dealers all the time. If you guys don't know Michael, I mean, look, if you were lucky to catch him at home, just buy a lotto ticket, because it's pretty rare. And I know
catch him in the airport.
Right. Yeah.
Catch him at the airport. Exactly.
I bumped into a friend of mine recently, just randomly in the airport.
Of course you did. Weird. Of course. Yeah. But, there's so much that you and I have both taken from Alan's teachings. But what's the one thing What is, the one thing that you have found that you feel responsible, that will impact sales professionals everywhere that he gave us? What is that one thing?
I think it splits amongst two. I'll stick to one because you're asking me for one, but I'll bring up the second one later. But I think one is if they knew how to do it, they'd be doing it. And I think it's a really important lesson that I try to focus on, not just with managers. I mean, it's super important to remind the managers, but also the staff, right? And the sales teams and the BDC. You can call a salesperson into a room who's a solid 15 car person and look them in the eye and say, Mike, I want you to put me out 20 cars this month. You got it? 20 cars. And Mike's going to go, you got it, boss. I'm going to put out 20 cars. And then he's going to walk out of there and go, Jesus, how am I going to sell 20 cars? I don't know. I know how to do 15 cars solid. I don't know how to sell 20. That's where their managers step in. And that's where Alan kind of leaned on the managers. They're not going to do it unless you teach them how to do it, unless you show them the way, okay? They aren't going to figure it out. If they knew how to be 20-car salesperson, they'd be selling 20 cars. If they knew how to generate 2 appointments every single day, guess what? They would do it. And sometimes they would do 3 or 4. They're struggling at 0 and 1 and maybe catching a 2, and they're hitting their 15 cars because that's what they know how to do. If you want to raise them up and take them to the next level, you have to. Right. And the problem is for the last 5, 6 years, Mike has seen this, you have seen it, I've seen it, and everyone's seen it, is no one's gotten a raise in this business. And the reason why no one's gotten a raise, because this isn't a business where you go to your boss and ask for raises. This is a business where you go out there and you earn your commission and you earn your raises. OK, so if that's the business we're in, the only way they're going to go out there and earn their raises is by getting a little better every single day. And managers and salespeople reminding, if I knew how to do it, I'd do it. So if I don't know how to do it, someone has to help me get there. That is the super important reason. The other one that I just mentioned slightly is Alan always said excellence is never an accident. And you have to work to get there. And that doesn't just exist for the teachings that we teach, all of us in this podcast, all of us teach in dealerships. It's also for, the way we run this company and the way Mike is running Tim's company. Mike and I are, carrying very precious legacies. And Mike had the honor and the privilege of working side by side with Tim for countless years. I never had the honor and privilege of working with Alan or even be able to train from him. So I understand that preciousness in a way that I've had to learn and digest and consume all of Alan, but Mike got to do it right next to the man. And, that difference, is different. But the way we look at the company and the legacy of the men whose ideas and thoughts and beliefs that we need to carry forward, we understand the industry evolves, and Alan and Tim would have evolved the way we are evolving. And sometimes we need to say, okay, is this how they would have evolved based on where the industry is today? And that's that responsibility that we hold.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to just double down on what you said earlier about, if they knew how to do it, they would be doing it. Managers are typically, today, I can honestly say, salespeople aren't the issue. Most salespeople that are hired, that go through the most, I will say, are coachable and want the training. It's typically the managers who either just don't know it, there's no buy-in because they don't understand it. I did have a manager in San Diego sit in a class for the first time. Now, this guy's been there a year, and he comes up to me and he says, I thought this was a bunch of crap. He's looking at the script. He goes, I thought this was a bunch of crap. I'm going to be honest with you, but this is awesome. And this should be not just mandatory. We got it. And then he just went off on a tangent. And I went, wow, that's just from sitting in 1 hour of training. So, what these trainers, what Alan and what Tim provided us is going to influence our industry for years to come. Now, you were talking about Tim, I would love for you to tell us something we might not know about Tim, maybe that only people like you would know, right? Because I'm sure he had his, his public side and his, more private side. What is something about Tim that people wouldn't know that would fire us up, that we would just be shocked about?
Shocked about. Oh man, there were
We're
so many
just
sides to him.
surprised. Yeah.
You know, he actually was a really funny guy. He had this little. He would catch you off guard. You would just be sitting there having a conversation with him, or we'd all would be together as a team, and he would just all of a sudden come out with something, and then everybody would just look and go, "Did Tim just say that?" I mean, we would just laugh, and like he could just throw something out at the last minute, and he'd get everybody laughing. He was a motivator. Everybody, he actually motivated his team. He wasn't in his office all day long either. He was out and about, walking the office, talking to everybody. He was a hands-on guy. He had relationships with everybody.
I'm sure.
He sat down, and it wasn't work; it was talk. Tim was a big teddy bear, and that's probably where this is leading to. And that he would help anybody out, and he helped. I can tell you lots of things that he did for people that nobody knows to this day that he did. Didn't want anybody to know. He just wanted to help people, and he did a lot of that behind the scenes. And I
A
saw it
big
firsthand. He really was. He was a big. He walk in a room, and when you think he's tough and all
ah,
that, but behind the scenes, he could be a big teddy bear and
ah,
just want to help people at the end of the day. He wanted to help everybody. He really did. He wanted to help. He was a really good family guy, balanced that between life and family, and gave everything he got when he could on the road, but he wanted to be home with his kids and spend time with the family. And his son played baseball, and he would always try to make flights back in time to hit the games with his son. So he
that's
was like all of
wonderful.
us. But yeah, if you saw him in class, he was kind of opposite when he wasn't.
Well, this isn't an easy job. Being a trainer, not everyone loves what you do. So you really got to have a passion for it, and to have created an organization, based on training and development, and to have succeeded the way he did. I mean, you really got to have a love for not just the game, but for helping people. But I wish I would have met him. What is something that is happening in the industry? Michael kind of mentioned the industry is
Mhm.
evolving, but what is happening? What would be one thing that is happening that he would have been fired up about?
Well, it's been fairly recent, and he wrote his book for salespeople on AI. He was fired up on technology, and
Oh,
he got that book out before the end of the year, before he left us. But um, man, he was always trying to evolve and be better in that technology side. Think of things before everybody else thought. What can we do?
mhm,
What can we do
mhm,
to be better?
mhm.
So AI got him really pumped up. And I'll even tell you, there's a little bit of a funny story about him and AI and technology because he loved it so much. He said, "I'm an old guy, but I love technology." But for 2, 3 years ago, when AI even first came as a thought out, he
Mhm.
got into it. And that's when you had to have spreadsheets and do all
Nah.
kinds of things with chat and build your own AI. Kintz AI we built. But we put it all together. He put everything in his workbooks, all his books, everything. We put it into our AI, and we were all sitting around, and we were like, okay, we can't wait to ask it a question. We can't wait. And we asked the question what the Kintz group did, and we're so okay, here it comes. And it said, Tim Kintz has done everything from selling candy to his sister and drugs. And
This is what
Tim, and we were all around there. We're going, Tim looked at everybody. He goes, "I've never sold candy in my life." So, so he was that kind of humor. I've never sold candy in my life. Drugged my sister, maybe, but not
Oh
candy. Never
my
sold
God.
it in my life.
Wait,
But
so
he
what?
loved that.
So AI, was he not expecting that? That just popped up
It just
accidentally?
popped it. It literally back then. That's what it came out
Oh
with
my
because it was
God.
still learning
That's
everything. And
hysterical.
so,
Found
he just
some guy
popped
named
out.
Tim Kintz, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And but
What
the
was that guy up
opposite,
to?
but the opposite thing probably is driving him crazy today too, is the availability of the tools like AI that are
Mhm.
available to salespeople, the managers, the dealerships, that they're not using all the tools available to
Mm.
them. The training that's not being done, that used to drive him crazy. Is that all these things are out there just waiting for you,
Mm.
um, and you're not using them. Like he would tell salespeople, like, how much does it cost you to have your desk? How much does it cost you? Do they charge you for your phone? How much do they charge you for your inventory? How much do they charge you to have a receptionist? And he just what nothing, nothing, nothing. And but what are we doing? You know, you have all that at your hands, but how many hours are you really working?
Mm. I love. Okay, I'm going to flip it over to you, Michael. What do you think would have flipped his lid? Something that's happening right now that would have gotten him fired up. I mean, I know that
Yeah, you
I
know
know that
what?
there's already a couple things I can think
Listen,
of.
I'll tell you one thing that would have gotten Alan crazy is the way the business fractured during COVID and how long
Mm,
we've taken to
Mm.
get back to that place, right? How I think he would be kind of really upset of how managers are struggling. I know I look at my
yeah,
generation, I'm a Gen Xer, and I look at my generation and I think, boy, from the desk, we are being horrible mentors. We are struggling as mentors.
yeah,
We are struggling with the younger generations and we're not teaching the managers how to teach the younger generation the right way. And the reality is that we have two different young generations here. We have millennials and we have Gen Z. And the millennials and Gen Z are not the same. They are very different. The Gen Z, which are the 20-year-olds, they are give me a fishing rod, teach me how to fish, and I'm good. And yes, I'm going to
Mhm.
keep coming back to you because I'm at a different lake and I might need different bait and I might need a different hook and I might be looking for different fish. And I'm going to come back to you every time and ask you for help. But once you give me the help and the guidance, I'm going to be okay. The
Mhm.
millennials are the one that they're all complaining about, and rightfully so. The reality is the majority of the generation is still very much daddy I want, daddy I need,
mhm,
help me, help me, help me. I can't figure this out. I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. And no matter how many times we teach them, they're still in that same spot. So I think when Alan would look at the industry, he would say, why are managers allowing this to happen? Why have they lost control of the desk and their staff? And how do we get back to having the workforce that we had before? And we can't we're not going to get there because we've lost so many veterans. COVID just the veterans were wiped out. They're gone. They're not
yeah,
here. And the ones that are left, they don't give anything about helping out the next generation. So it really sits on the managers, and it's harder for the managers. They're
Mhm.
one person down at the desk, but that means they need to dig in deeper. That means they need to train more. That means they need to go to events like Management by Fire and have people helping them and supporting them. That's what these training companies are for. Alan, Tim, everyone in this industry, the good guys in this business on the training side, we are here as really consultants to help dealers grow and get better in our specific areas. For the Kintz
Mhm.
side, it's how do we help you grow in closing more customers when they come to the showroom. For the Ram side, proactive side, how do we get you more people in the showroom to help you close, right? So wherever you're struggling in the dealership, find that program and embrace it. If we're struggling in both areas, then send your managers. But you
yeah,
need to be leveling up your managers. And that's the thing Alan would just be banging his head about because managers are not leveling up. They're not learning what they need to do.
So
yeah,
if he
And he'd
was,
tell us,
if
sorry,
he's,
and he would say one thing. He would tell all of us, Mike, me, you, maybe Tim, all of them, we're all being too soft. Alan
yeah,
was pretty rough on salespeople. He was rough on managers. I hear from them all the time, but they all say it. Boy, Alan pushed me. Alan made me better.
yeah,
Alan might have I might have been pissed off at him in the room because he made me do ring ring 3 times and it embarrassed me in front of everybody, but I'm better today because of it. That's where the training space would be frustrating him a little bit as well. He would want us to be coming down much harder on these managers than we are.
So that's funny because that leads me into this next question. If you were to put him in a room, if you were here for, just one time and you put him in a room full of managers, leadership managers in the auto industry, what would Alan say to those people today?
Stop telling me why you can't do it. Stop giving me the excuses. Stop telling me why it can't be done. Stop telling me why you're so busy. Stop telling me all this stuff. And here's how you get it done. Stop being involved in all of the nonsense and focus on what makes my team better, what helps us grow as a store, what helps us get a couple more people through the door every single day. That discipline is what he would hammer the room on. And just brutalize them when you don't ring, you don't have a morning meeting every day. You don't make the salespeople check out every night. Like that discipline doesn't exist in a store would just, really blow his mind.
Mike Seeley, I
Good
see
point.
you. I see your wheels turning. And I know we've only got a few more minutes, but this is such an important topic. This next generation of leaders, we all know, I've met some that are talented but way rusty, right? We know they're not investing enough time with their staff. But what is the one thing that Tim would have said to these managers today to get them to move?
Yeah. Quit managing your department, start managing your people. It's you're not going to sell more cars at the dealership by what you're doing right now. The only way you're going to sell more cars is going through your salespeople, not around them like we do right now. And that's by making your people better. What are you going to do today to make them better than they were yesterday? Are you I think Michael said this. Are you guys holding trainings every morning? What are you doing to make these guys better? It's frustrating to see. Right now, managers get promoted, like Michael said, if you outwit, outplay, outlast, just like Survivor. If you can be that on Survivor in sales, then you get promoted to a manager. And yet we have no clue, no training on how to manage our people and how to actually do our job, which is to give them vision, to actually manage their activities, train and coach. That's the four quadrants of leadership. That's our job. And we were sitting in front of our computer doing $10 an hour stuff all day.
Yeah, that's right.
100%. I mean, I'm telling you, if Tim and Alan walked into a morning meeting, and most morning meetings I know because I hear from the sales staff all the time, they're 45 minutes long and their manager is just running through like ad nauseum, blah, 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 blah. You don't do this and you suck at that. And we don't do this and you should do this and but and should and coulda, woulda, I hope and pray. That's what those morning meetings are like. And the salespeople are sitting there like just waiting to blow their brains out. That's what's going on in that. Okay. Yeah. And the reality is Alan and Tim would both we need to be simulating. We need to be practicing. We need to be talking about the real world things that they're dealing with. It's why, right? Susan, you and I see it, and I'm sure Mike sees it all the time. Like the salespeople, we teach them, we train them, we get them all set. They sound great in the room, and then they get on the phone with the customer, and it all falls apart. It's because the managers aren't training real world scenarios. We're training on real world. We're teaching them, but it doesn't continue. Those days after everyone leaves and the in between and the training. And I'm telling you, these two guys would be out of their head.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so let's talk about management by fire, because I feel like this, in my experience, I remember the first time I went to a management by fire was the week that I got hired. And gosh, man, it's just so much. Yeah. So much that I learned in those 2 days that I had not learned at the dealership, right? So tell us, and Michael Seeley, I'm going to start with you and then we'll end with Michael. What is the one thing you're most excited about to provide leaders in this class? Now, remember, this is July 21st through the 23rd. Let me pull that up. Excuse me. July 22nd through the 21st. It's 2.5 days of straight leadership. This is an investment into your career. But I want to know from you, what is the one thing you're most excited about providing this next generation of leadership in this class in July? Something that possibly Tim handed down to you, philosophy now that you feel that is the most important to spread to the world today.
Oh, wow. Well, one, I'm excited about listening to you and Michael and finding out about management by fire. So that's got me pumped up right there, just to be able to be there to see you guys. But on our side too, for management, I think we're both aligned, and we've been talking about it for the last few minutes, is letting managers know what their job really is and seeing the potential that they have. If they can't see potential first, they're not going to do anything. So we love to show them the potential that's available to them once they have the skills to be that manager that can provide vision to their salespeople, that can sit down and manage their activities, their statistics, their tendencies, to sit down and actually put a training program together and actually show them how to train and show them, what happens during that morning meeting, and then actually rolling up your sleeves and working with these guys. What does that entail? Is getting out there on the floor and working with these guys. So if they can understand what their job truly is and see the potential of what they can become when they go back to the dealership, that's what we get excited about, is those guys going back and making their people better and knowing they have the tools to do it. They're going to walk away with the how-tos, not just what you should do, but there's going to be a plan for you to take back and implement.
Okay, I love what you said. I'm just going to bring this back to the potential, because a lot of times we go into these meetings and we're given the how-tos and all of that. But if I'm at a store that is perhaps high volume already, and I think, 30 cars a month is good enough, for one sales rep. I just had someone tell me, I'm okay. I don't need this training. I do 30 cars already. I said, bro, you could be doing 45.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but the fact that you are giving me my potential, right, is everything. You're expanding my mindset even before giving me these resources. So I love that. Michael, what is the thing you're most excited about for this class?
Besides watching Mike?
Yes, besides watching good old Mike Seeley in action.
I think that for the first time in Management by Fire, managers and next generation leaders are going to be able to come to an event and not just learn how to take all that activity from outside into the showroom, but know what to do with it once it's in the showroom. And I think having that full, right, because Kintz focuses on everything from when the customer arrives to when the customer leaves happy with their car. We focus on that rest of the cycle of that life of how do we get that customer, ask for that repeat and referral business, staying in touch with them every 3 months, all the way, service visits, service drive, all the way back to that next purchase. Being able to have managers in the room who focus on that 360 experience of the customer life cycle, to understand that these aren't just customers that we want to sell one car to. We want to sell cars to their friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, and everybody, that they're going to be able to walk out with. That is going to be so cool.
I love that. Yeah. I love that.
I think you'll see what happens. What we love to see too is everything a salesperson does in the dealership in the first 15 minutes affects everything that happens in the last 15 minutes of the deal. And I think they, hopefully they walk away seeing that everybody wants their salespeople to be closers. I want them to, tell us how to close, show us some good closes. Okay, well, if they can't do a warm and friendly greeting, build some rapport, do a good demo, build value in the demo, then they're not going to be good closers. We got to be good at the very beginning. So that first 15 minutes is the most important thing they can do.
I love that. That's great. And, you know, on the phones, it's not much different. The first 10 seconds, they're forming an opinion of you, no matter how cool you are, right? And that sets the tone for the rest of the conversation. So I'm excited to hear from you. I'm excited to hear from Michael as well. You know, Michael and I are all over and he's all over, but seldom do we get to train together. So that'll be exciting. And then, you know, bringing in everything that Tim Kintz left us with is just going to make this an unbelievable event. So again, check your emails if you are registered for all of our announcements. If you're on our email list, you're going to be getting the announcements and you'll get to register early. Michael, I think we may be offering some specials if you get on that early bird special. But special or not, guys, this is an investment into your career. And what you do, as we've heard, will ultimately affect how your team does. And so this is worth all the money and then some. Michael, these no more Michaels.
Too many.
It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to continue this conversation. We've got one more webinar coming up, guys, so don't miss that. Our next webinar is going to be everything that Tim Kintz and that Michael Seeley has brought to this industry and what they can teach us about what to do with the customer once they reach your showroom. So with that said, guys, always a pleasure. I think the rain stopped. Hopefully there's no more rainstorms here in Texas, but you never know. You never know.
No, you don't.
So I'll have to go back home for some sunshine. But until then, guys,
take
care
Susan.
of yourselves. Have fun at the
Thank you,
dealership, and
Susan.
we'll talk really soon, okay? Awesome.
You
Bye,
guys
everybody.
are awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, management by fire.
Management by fire. Don't forget.